in this episode.
I remember I went through this crazy phase when like Spike's Tactical was like super hot and like everyone had red anodized, mag releases on their AR-15 and red T handles.
Let's not. I mean, it's still cool to have that stuff on your rifle. Let's not like bully anybody here. We don't kink shame.
In an obtuse world, Mark and Jefe will combine military, law enforcement, and general FUD knowledge to keep you vertical. Welcome to the Live, Laugh, Larp podcast.
Hey everybody, what's going on? Thanks for swinging by to another edition of Live, Laugh, LARP podcast. You got myself, Mark. We have Jefe joining us.
Back from the dead, baby.
Back from the dead. We're going to call him Lazarus, but he doesn't get that joke. It doesn't matter anyway. But at the very least, we have a special guest that's going to be joining us for this podcast. It's going to be a lot of fun because this is quite possibly one of the coolest dudes that I know outside of Jefe.
We're about to have a fucking fight here. Choke you out.
But before we get into that, the administrative things, if I could even talk, I'm about 7 beers in tonight. It's a holiday weekend, so I've been drinking most of the day. Like most of everybody.
It's Decoration Day.
It is Decoration Day.
Decoration Day. Decorate your things.
But before we get into that, the first thing that I want to say is if you guys are listening to us on any of your platforms, give us a like, a comment, anything to interact with this podcast is greatly appreciated. The next thing that we need to do is say a huge thank you to Atero Arms. I don't know if you saw this. Did you see that he is building an M240?
Yeah, not like completely opposite of what I asked this man to do. I was like, hey, can you build this very unique, specific thing that will take you probably like 25 minutes because you built it before. It's worked. And then now Shield Arms has beaten you too with the game.
Well, it's Shield Arms, but
I mean, they work most of the time.
Most of the time, right? But the I don't know if I'm supposed to say this. I don't think anybody's.
He put it on Instagram,
but he's going to he's going to plate it. The M240. He's going to plate it in gold.
You have to at that point.
I know, right?
So Atero Arms, the premier manufacturer of the best red dot mounts for AK platforms.
That's correct. Yes. And
most cost effective as well.
If you have not seen the video from Kalashnikon, I did shoot 600 yards using a Chinese red dot on an Atero Arms mount. First shot impact at not only 450, but 600 yards as well. Very impressed. I impressed myself. I thought that was pretty cool. And I mean, what can you say? At that point, you're just like, Atero Arms, it's the best. So
it's the best.
The best.
The best. Huge. So big.
So we're going to jump right on into this because we probably have a lot going on in this particular episode because we have quite possibly one of the coolest dudes in the AK community. And that, of course, is KlayCo47. Clay, how you doing, buddy?
Yes, Shamash.
There he is. It is so hilarious that you would introduce yourself just like that because I just posted a story in my Instagram reels about some dude at a tire shop acting like he's Borat, reading the warning on the side of the tire that's all mixed up English, and he's like, yeah, Shamash, this is Borat, and then starts reading it, and actually you time in like that, so that's hilarious. How's Clay's doing this fine Monday evening?
Clay's doing great. Clay didn't have to go to work today, so that was awesome. And my first wife made me chili dogs for Memorial Day. That was really nice of her. Nice. And I really appreciate that about her, that she feeds me and she takes care of me and puts up with me because I be farting.
We're doing this over Streamlabs then.
The funny thing about it is myself, Jefe, and Jacob are in a DM chat group, I guess, and it's all
my life so much easier.
I thought you were going to say like a love triangle or something.
It's more like a love square because like some people take up two sides.
But it's all about glizzies at this point. I mean, every single meme that comes through, every reel is about.
Just because a man eats like 8 hot dogs during SHOT Show Doesn't mean he loves glizzies. But speaking of glizzies, I don't want to derail this conversation already. We're going to go to a Royals game here in a couple weeks, and I'm going to not only attempt but complete the 999 challenge.
What is that?
It's 9 hot dogs, 9 beers, and 9 innings. So every inning.
Doable. That's doable.
It sounds doable. I'm getting myself psyched up about it.
Especially with the Royals game. That's like 5 hours.
Yeah, it's
9 beers in 5 hours. I can do that.
Easy.
9 hot dogs on top of that. I don't think my bank account's going to handle it, but so if you want to Venmo me money, it's at Jefe Actual to support my eating and drinking endeavors.
What does a beer and a hot dog cost at a big stadium like that? Like $47 each?
I think I did the math on it. It's going to cost me at least well over a bill, like almost $1.50 just to do this. But I mean, you got to try it.
At that point, we should do a podcast from that game.
From the Royals game?
From the Royals game while you are doing your 999.
Just have this like podcast material sitting on the bleachers like, all right, I'm like 8 hot dogs in, guys. I don't want to talk anymore. So, all right, so hot dogs.
That's not what we're here
to talk about. We're talking here about to talk about the inferior AK platforms and how Clay, you mad lad, got started. So let's hear the villain backstory. Like how did you go from I guess some rambunctious teenager listening to whatever rambunctious Blink 182? I have tickets to that concert.
Clay, a little bit of Nickelback.
Creed,
to
Faith No More. That is
plus 44.
I got into that at a later age when I finally discovered good music.
To being the premier AK guy, one of the premier top. I'll say
the most entertaining. I would say.
I mean, Prince Shit Repeat's pretty funny,
but he's not an AK guy.
He's
just a
guy.
Printer.
He has been lately.
He has been.
Yeah, he was just him. Yeah, because he just went he just went to Europe or something. Slovenia with like forgotten weapons to shoot at a bunch of people.
What is that? What
Link's Brutality. So he's been there 2 years in a row. It's in Slovenia.
Okay. Yep. And so it's basically a 2-gun match that they have a lot of physical challenge to it. It's very similar to the Finnish Brutality, but it's in Slovenia.
But it sounds like they have a lot more like sim rounds. Like it's a lot of force on force as well.
I did see that, but I don't know how that.
I don't either. So anyway. Back to Clay though, not about to Prince Shit Repeat.
Well, my story, it all starts back in 1989, and my dad met my mom, and you see, when a man loves a woman, they do this thing called coitus.
They don't have to love each other. They don't have to love each other.
They got divorced shortly after, so who knows?
So you were saying it was true love?
Yeah, I really wrecked that marriage by accident.
It's all your fault.
Yeah, no, it apparently it was. So that's how I got started.
Yep.
But the whole AK thing, man, I guess I went from being a very average, normal dude that always liked guns. My dad and my uncle had FFLs in the 80s and early 90s, and they used to work gun shows. So at a young age, I was always just around cool, crazy shit like that. And back then, they were the guys that were buying like crates and pallets of SKSs, cases of ammo, 7.62x39. They would like take an SKS and tape it to a case of ammo and sell it at a gun show for $120 back then. That's just what they did. So that was all very normal to me at a young age. And then I remember growing up during the 10-year ban when I, was very impressionable. And from a young age, my dad made me really like carry handle ARs and FALs, but we never had AKs in the house. I was just never really around them. And man, it just sort of, this all happened by total chance, because the AK thing never even crossed my mind until like a much later age. I was into ARs. I remember post 2004, I graduated high school in 2007. So like when I was a freshman to when I graduated, that's when the ban era lifted. And all of a sudden everyone could have like cool stuff. And I'm this aging teenager. I've got a job. I start buying guns I was never allowed to buy beforehand, like buying, AR-15s in carbine form, which hadn't been a thing for 10 years. Everyone was doing that. And I remember at the time, all anyone gave a shit about was flat top M4s. Like the carry handles were gone. I remember like a recoil magazine had an aim point T2 on a freaking flat top, and like it changed the world. And that's what everybody wanted. No one gave a shit about carry handles. retro guns, AKs, that was all like a thing of the past very rapidly. Mark, I know you're older than me. You remember this time.
Yep.
So I remember I went through this crazy phase when like Spike's Tactical was like super hot and like everyone had red anodized, mag releases on their AR-15 and red T handles.
Let's not. I mean, it's still cool to have that stuff on your rifle. Let's not like bully anybody here. We don't kink shame.
Well, I'm gonna bully myself here because I got into that phase. I would say this is like it. It was pre-2016. I was going through a hardcore AR-15 phase. I'm using the word built loosely because I don't think anyone really builds AR-15s. We assemble them, but back then I thought I was like really doing something. And I was consuming so much YouTube and like pulling our tactical and Hickok 45 and nothing fancy. And I wanted to build all these ARs. And I remember I was living in this tiny little apartment and I had a closet full of ARs that all did the same thing. I built, quote, air quotes, all of these like Spikes Tactical and BCM ARs that all just looked the same. One might have been tan, one might have been black, one might have been OD green, free float rails for everyone. And I got so burnt out on AR-15s. I didn't know. I just didn't know what was interesting anymore with guns. Like I had done the full AR-15 thing. And it wasn't until I remember a Wasser 10 that my dad had bought me for Christmas years prior just sort of like resurfaced. It was at my dad's house. And he just told me one day, he's like, you need to come get this gun out of my house and put it in your own closet or buy a safe one day, retard. So I remember picking up the Wasser and coming back. And I remember thinking it was the biggest dude, I was such an elitist. I thought it was just the biggest piece of crap. I'm like, wood, brother, what is that? And sights all out of alignment. Like I didn't know how to work the safety. I didn't understand reciprocating charging handles. I mean, you understand, I might be like 19, 20 at this time. It was just not, AKs just totally bewildered me. And I remember time had gone by and I had bought, what was it? I think I had bought an SLR 107. I don't know what possessed me to do it. I had heard it was a really good AK at the time. And this is back when arsenals were like $1,000 and gun shops had 10 of them. You could walk into a gun shop and pick the one that had the straightest sight alignment, which is like unheard of these days, right? Didn't know how good we had it. And I remember buying that, and I didn't have an Instagram, didn't have anything at this time. And I remember my buddy Chris Snow, who I used to shoot competitions with a lot, he had just like simultaneously bought a Sam 7. So we both had these cool arsenals, and we didn't know anything about it. We didn't know what to do with them. But we had grown up shooting and we wanted something different. So we start going out and shooting these things. And I remember one day at work, we're just sitting there at work one day and we would eat our lunch at our computer desks. And I was watching YouTube and I had heard the name Jim Fuller, like here and there. I knew that he was a very special guy in the AK world. I had just started to like join some Facebook groups and AK files, just dipping my toe into it. And then, I find this Rifle Dynamics YouTube page. I find Rob Ski. I find out about Krebs Custom. I start finding out that there's this whole world of like boutique AK builders that was just starting to really boom. And this is like 2015 timeframe, right? And I just started binging all this content. I don't know what happened. It's something about Jim Fuller, the way he worked with AKs, the way he explained them, why special, why they were so simple and why that made them special. And a bug bit me. And then everything changed when one day I come to work and I'm eating lunch at my computer and this video pops up and Jim Fuller's talking about this thing called Red October. It's like, I think there's finally a time and place where all these AK guys, all these nerds can travel, get together, and we can shoot our guns all together for like a weekend. And I remember I would watch the promo for that match every day, a couple times a day. Chris would come watch it. And it snowballed into, man, like, one day we should go do something like that. And then a week later, it was like, I wonder if we could afford to do something like that. And then like another week would go by and we're like, fuck, dude, let's just take vacation time and like maybe commit to this. And I remember we sat down and put pen to paper and we figured out, okay, if we do this, we can't afford to stop. We have to drive straight through. We can barely afford the hotel room while we're there. And we're going to have to share ammo. We're going to have to share a bed. We're going to have to share everything. And day we just said fuck it. We took the time off work. I went and bought a shitty pair of 511 pants, really shitty Condor chest rig because I didn't know any better from a police surplus shop. Chris bought like some Amazon bullshit vest with mag pouches on it because we didn't know what you needed to go to a match. I shot the whole match in steel toe work boots. We bombed across the country. We got to Utah in like 22 hours. We didn't sleep. I remember we had elevation sickness when we got there. Like the whole thing was just this crazy wild journey. And then we get there, and I remember seeing Jim Fuller for the first time, and I was terrified of him. Like it was almost like seeing Michael Jackson or something. Like I was like, oh, I don't know what to say. I'll talk to him later. Like we were so nervous.
Yep.
And we shoot this whole thing, and we actually shot really well. We came in like the top 25%. Dude, I'd never shot a match before in my life, but something about that day, I saw like 100 dudes out there that were eating and sleeping and breathing the same thing I was. They were all becoming extremely infatuated with the AK. We all had such admiration and respect for this man they called Jim Fuller. And something about that just lit a fire under my ass. And I said to myself, I want to do this all the time. I want to shoot matches all the time, only with AKs. I don't care about any other gun. I sold all my ARs. Like, dude, the next week, every AR I owned was gone to fund more AK stuff. Any gun that I had in the closet was gone. And I remember right after that, Rachel, my now wife, who at the time was just my girlfriend, she's like, there's this thing called Instagram, and you could like post all those pictures you took at that event. I'm like, Instagram's for girls. Everybody know. Like, that's for food. And dude, she had to convince me. She's like, I promise you, there's dudes on. She's like, look, she's pulling up all these accounts. She's like, there's dudes on here posting gun pictures. I'm like, damn. So it's like not. I thought it would be kind of gay if I made that. And she's like, no, you make an Instagram. So I made an Instagram, and I think I posted a picture of my AK one time, and then I started posting these match videos from Red October. And I remember like the first time I got a comment, and the first DM I ever got, and the first like, and the first person I started talking to over Instagram. And I was like, Chris, like, dude, there might be something to this Instagram thing. Like, I don't know. And through Red October, we actually met some other local Texans that were shooting AK matches in Corpus. And it basically snowballed into, we became like two guys that were traveling all over Texas shooting carbine matches with AKs, and we started to like get a name for ourselves. We would go win all of these local matches with AKs, and we just sort of developed a reputation. We were just these two like Southern Texans that were just crushing matches with AKs, and we were blowing up on Instagram out of nowhere, and it all just purely happened by accident. None of it was planned. It just sort of happened. And then one day a guy reaches out and says, hey, you probably shouldn't put your full name on your Instagram. My Instagram was literally Clay Owens, my full like legal name. And he said, you should change it to KlayCo, like the old Chinese imports. I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, that does sound cool. So I changed my name like that day. And the rest is kind of history. It snowballed into us getting sponsors. It snowballed into me meeting a lot of other people, meeting Mark, meeting friends of Mark's, and just starting to network. And then it all just snowballed into gatherings, events, competitions over many years. But that's literally how it started. Like, it was a happy accident. And I know I rambled, but it wasn't planned at all, man. It just sort of happened.
And that's good. One of the things, and to show a little bit of my ignorance, is I guess I didn't realize the Chinese imports were called KlayCos. I guess, or was it just like a mashup from Norinco and Clay to put it together, or was there some other import that I'm not aware of?
The KlayCos were the very first Chinese AKs that ever come into the country. They're the oldest Chinese AKs, Tricoms in the country, and they're the most, compared to like the Legends, they're probably some of the most collectible and the most valuable. They're like most well known for coming in with like black and this deep green bakelite furniture, which is super rare. But that's where I got the name.
That's
totally
cool.
ripped it off.
Do you own one yet?
Yeah. Well, Tony owns one, but what's his is mine. We're life partners at this point.
No, I mean, hey, we don't judge around here as long as
you guys know.
If you get access to cool guns, I mean, what's a little handy here and there.
So, in addition to that, you are doing your YouTube thing, off recording, off quote unquote camera, whatever you want to call it. We've been talking about YouTube a little bit, and this time frame right now is a little sticky because we've got this weekend. It's a holiday weekend. We've got an election year, right? There's a whole bunch of different shenanigans that's happening. I guess the Summer of Love Part 2 is probably getting ready to
Electric
kick off.
Boogaloo.
Yep. So there's
people are starting to show lever actions really, really fucking quickly.
Really hard. I wonder why, So YouTube has been a little bit of a frustration, not only for Clay, but myself. So you are doing a YouTube channel. For anyone that's living underneath a rock and doesn't know that Clay is the AK YouTuber, I would say.
Not Brandon Herrera?
No. I mean, yeah, Brandon is like...
He literally is called the AK guy on YouTube. So
yeah, but that's because...
he wins.
Right? I don't...
That's how that works, right?
Yeah, but if you watch any of his stuff here recently, it's been very little AK stuff.
He built an AK-50. That's pretty cool.
No, he didn't build an AK-50.
Brandon got smart. If you ask me, he got smart.
He ended up.
He played the game.
He played the game. Yeah, exactly. What he ended up doing was dreamt it up and then found probably quite possibly, Clay, correct me if I'm wrong, one of the smartest builders, I would say. I don't know.
You must mean Mr. Schaefer Zach. Yes.
Oh yes. Yeah.
For his age, exceptional.
Yes.
Like autist to the max, AK builder at a very young age. He's got a bright future.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we have, like you mentioned already, we have Jim Fuller, we have Mark Krebs. These types of guys have been around for a very, very long time. But when you start thinking about people who are up and coming, thinking outside of the box, Zach Schaefer is like...
Is that who Jacob was talking about today? Zach?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, we had this group chat about an 80-round drum for Makarovs. And essentially... research led us to find out that it was some mad lad who just took a Pepe Shaw magazine and welded it to a Makarov magazine.
Yeah, it was Zach.
and yeah, I guess Zach was one of the guys who's tried it.
It ran like one time, right?
Hey, that's all it needs to run.
So, but as far as your YouTube channel, Clay, talk about what's going on with that.
Yep.
I know that you've just done a couple of videos on Kalash Bash. We did KalashCon almost back to back. How did you do at KalashCon? For those that don't know,
I came in. I shot 2 divisions, and somehow I got lucky and came in first place in both. I think it was Saturday I came in first in the Irons division, and Sunday I came in first in the non-magnified dot division, which was cool.
Yeah, really, really cool because we all squatted together. Squad 2, we had, I think, probably one of the better squads as far as placement goes for the entire match. But the thing that impressed me the most is sitting back and watching you on the long range stage to be able to shoot 600 yards with iron sights. That's what blows my mind. And this is the second year that you've done it. And the second year
that a little chart, the little thing, you just put it to 600.
No, that's the power setting. That's how fast the bullet goes.
Oh, yeah.
That's all you gotta do.
That has nothing to do with elevation. It's a power setting.
Oh, okay. So it's like setting our AKs from stun to kill.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Yes.
But Clay doesn't mess with that at all. That's the most impressive thing is that you set it on the 100 yard setting or meter setting, or do you keep it on battle?
I keep it on what everyone calls the battle, as far back as it'll go. And I'd never make adjustments on the fly. I just, I spend a lot of time. I'm fortunate to have a range near me that lets us shoot out to 1,000, and it's the same range that 9-hole reviews films at. So we're all familiar with that.
Yep.
And they have steel at every 100 yard marking out to 1,000. So it's very easy to get dope out to distance. And I'll go out there and spend 100 rounds just getting dope. And I have a little chart on my phone. I am slightly retarded. So it's easier for me to just remember, okay, my dope is I'm a target high here. I'm 2 targets high here. I'm 3 targets high there. Like when it gets into like mills and all that, dude, I fall apart. I go a target size high. That's how I get my dope. And with iron sights on AKs, I feel like it just works. I never have to change my elevation on the rear leaf. I just change my holdover, and it works. And it's worked 3 years in a row at KCON with multiple calibers.
So often would you say you go do stuff like that? Like, is it like a once a week thing, once a month?
It depends on the match I'm shooting. If the match requires it, I'll absolutely go dedicate time. If I'm not shooting a match for 6 months that requires that, I don't go out. I don't have any reason to, honestly, to go out and burn the ammo. If I'm at the range, I'm either filming for YouTube, which pigeonholes me into basically shooting trash on camera, for an hour. And I get no training out of that, but everyone gets to point and laugh on camera. But if it's for the match, then I'll go out for a weekend. There's no cameras. I just try to get as much info as I can get about the match. We're all like, Mark knows, a lot of us that join these big matches, we'll get in group chats with dudes that we know that are also going, and we'll sit and gather information. Hey, what day are we doing long range? Like, what does anyone know what the farthest target is? Like, how much steel is at this match? Like, are we doing elevated platforms? Like, are we doing uneven platforms? What are we doing? And you'll take all that data, and the more you know, I'll go out and I'll book a couple of bays, and I will try to replicate as much as I can to get used to what I know is coming. And if it's long range, that's what I'll dedicate the most time to, because out here, all the matches I sign up to, nobody ever makes a shootout to 600. I do that like twice a year at maybe 2 matches.
Yep.
So I don't train for it much.
And the closest thing that I have to it around here is our Corn Dodger 2-gun matches, which the furthest that we've ever shot is 350 yards. And this last time, just last weekend before to when we're recording this, we shot 300 and I think 7 yards, but it was on an 8-inch gong. So
I can do that with a Glock.
It's like a light snack.
Yeah. Right. And what's funny is I've actually seen Jefe freaking shoot 300 yards with his Glock. Was it the 19 or is it the 48?
It was my 17.
17. Okay.
17.
Yeah. It's freaking ridiculous. But
hold on. How many times did he hit it, and how many times did it take him to hit it?
I think it was like 3 rounds to hit it, and then hit it like 2-3 times in a row after that.
Yeah, that seems about right. Yeah.
Sounds made up.
I mean, we have a recording of it, but no big deal. We're not here to talk about.
We're not here to talk about that.
Yeah, we're here to tell stories. I get it.
It was about this big.
Everybody can see that.
Everyone can see how big my fish was.
But so being able to, and that's one of the things, as I back up here a little bit, that's one of the things I loved about Kalashnikon. Kalashnikon is one of those matches that allows you to really test yourself and test your resolve. I mean, this year was a little bit different than last year. Last year, the most physical thing that you had to do was carry a 60-pound duffel bag and like climb up a ladder. I think that was really about it. This year, you had to climb a wall. You had to, run and shoot some targets. And then if you ran out of ammo, you had to drop your rifle and then run back and grab a magazine. There was a lot of physical stuff that you had to do this year. Carry some ammo cans that were 40 pounds a piece. One of the stages that stressed me out the most, and Clay crushed it. I watched his video on it, and you beat me by, I think, 8 or 9 seconds, but it was a blind stage. You had 4, 8, 12 targets, and they gave you a briefing that said, okay, here's the first shooting position. You have 4 targets. This is how you shoot them. Here's the second position, 4 targets. Here's how you shoot them. Here's the third position. Here's how you shoot them. And that's it. You don't get any information as to where they are. Now, if the squad tells you after someone goes and shoots, that's one thing. But that's what I love the most, because it really stresses you out. It puts you under time. It really puts you in a situation that is, as much as you possibly can, be quote unquote realistic, and getting into a shooting position, and then, oh, now I need to find these targets that I need to shoot at. So that was a lot of fun. And
I think that was honestly the hardest part of the match. The physical stuff sucked.
Yeah.
And for people that are physically fit, I definitely think this was the year for them. I mean, there were some guys that were up there in age, maybe just a little bit overweight, even like Rachel, who's so small.
Yeah.
They had to pass a ton of the obstacles and just say, I'm taking the penalty, because it was just physically impossible. But I think the worst thing, like you said on that stage, not only was it a blind stage, but they made the majority of the steel, not only on the blind stage, but all the stages, so hard to see.
Yeah.
I feel like I spent half my time just like scanning and hunting for those targets, even after walking the stage for like 20 minutes.
Yep.
Just couldn't find them.
Mm-hmm. Especially the one that we had to shoot through the tire. You had 5 targets and 2 of the 5 you couldn't see. I mean, you literally couldn't see. I had to shoot through grass.
Say you shared a target.
Yeah, right.
Shot through the range truck and.
Yeah, right. But we had to shoot through grass, if I can even say it, to even hit the target. And at that point, I was just guessing. I'm like, I think it's here, and I'm pull the trigger, and then they're like, "Oh, that's a hit," and I was like, "Okay, great." So, but that's another thing too. Is Rachel? She freaking crushed it. You mentioned she's pretty petite. She's what, 5'6", I think, maybe 120 pounds, real skinny.
Yeah, I think she's like 105. She's very, very light.
Oh, it's even
very
skinny.
small.
Yeah. But she went out and she took her Draco and freaking hit 600 yards with a 10.5-inch Draco.
Yeah, second shot. Nailed the 600-yard target. And even though she got totally lost in the the conglomerate of targets between like 25 and what was it, like 400 or whatever, but
right,
she shot them in a weird order, but she got most of them in one shot. And I was pretty impressed, man. That was definitely, in my opinion, her best stage. And it's the stage that I think about all year long, because to me, Kalashnikovs of the past, the 600-yard stage has been like the terrifying stage. This year, it was, in my opinion, fairly easy. I feel like we were all worked up really over nothing.
True.
It was other very unassuming stages that just kind of pushed all of our shit in, if I can say that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they were deceivingly difficult.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the stage that had the ballistic shield that you had to carry and you had to shoot.
Oh, I hated
around it. Yeah. Your weapon had to engage the shield. So you couldn't like hold it out away from the shield. It had to be in,
which is so not how you would shoot it with a pistol. I mean, most people would just like kneel.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a little counterintuitive.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so there's that. And then we also back up a couple more weeks. We have Kalash Bash, which is you and Tony's like mad scientist. I don't even know. It's a carnival is basically what it is, you know?
It's a freaking circus at this point. I don't even know what to call it anymore. I used to call it an event for so long, and for lack of a better term, it's an event, but there is so much now that it's man, I guess it's like elevated up to being called like a freaking festival. It's got everything except like naked Jello wrestling at this point. You have an 8-stage AK match.
Hold up. I got an idea for next year.
You said Jello.
I got an idea for next year.
They hear me out. It's wrestling, but with glizzies.
Yeah. Big old pit of hot dog water.
With chocolate starfishes.
But anyway, you're right. It is just kind of almost a free for all at this point, in a good way. Definitely in a good way.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I mean, it's got everything you want. If you love AKs, everything you want is there. If you kind of like AKs, but you like having a good time, there's plenty there. And I could like try to describe the campsite, but your podcast that you did at the campsite, I think perfectly sums up what you can expect at the campsite. Other than, this was the first year that we had like a full blown high production value concert with three acts that I don't ask me how we pulled it off. I still don't really know to this day how actually we pulled that off like seamlessly, because we had 3 bands quit and we had to rehire 3 new bands. Like, it was anything that could have gone wrong went wrong. It's if you ever watched that Woodstock 99 documentary, how things can so easily go very, very wrong at these huge events. Stuff like that happens all the time. And dude, I'll watch those documentaries, Woodstock 99, the Fire Festival. I'll watch that shit and it makes my hair stand up, because I've experienced so much of that impending dread. The big events here, we still have loose ends. I've got 1,000 people that I got to take care of. Oh my God, the band just quit. Oh, this one food truck just dipped on us. Oh, the fucking bathroom trailer just caused an 18-car pileup on the highway, and the bathrooms aren't going to get here. Like, everything that can happen has, and I've been through all of it. But somehow, year after year, it just sort of like all falls into place. And that only works with me working with Tony, me working with Mike and Land, the venue that we have selected. It's not just me and Tony anymore. It's this huge conglomerate of people that we've hired, people that volunteer. Mark, you've volunteered for us in the past, and this last year, it's so crazy. That just the culture of the people that sign up to work this event make it so much better. Like, I couldn't ask for better people to actually raise their hand and want to come like work our merch booth, our check-in table, RO. It feels like a big family at this point.
Yeah,
and it really feels special.
That's a good point. I mean, you've got people like Jim, who he showed up this year like a week ahead of time and just helped wherever he possibly could, which is really cool. And what's interesting is you talk about all of these issues that pop up, and for someone like myself who's there to shoot and just volunteer when I can and help out where I can, and then just do whatever type of content that I can while I'm there, it's seamless. And this year, by far, in my opinion, was probably one of the best shows, best Clash Bashes to date, especially with that concert. That was not expected. You talked about the cover bands that were going to be there, and some people had some complaints about it, but when they started performing, I was like, oh, these guys are legit. These guys are here to entertain. And that was really cool. So,
I mean, dude, I'm not this big Slipknot fan. I mean, I'm a casual listener of Rage. Like, I went through a Rage Against the Machine phase, but it's my daily carry music, and when Tony pitched the idea of having the Slipknot band fill in, because originally it was going to be a Nirvana cover band and our headliner was going to be a Rage band, Rage Against the Machine. And I loved it. I'm like, well, dude, everyone loves Nirvana. That's great. And both of those bands quit after, and they had been bands for like 8 years. I'm like, y'all, now you decide to quit? Like, what the fuck, man? Like, you couldn't get one more event out of the way. But when he pitched this Slipknot band, I thought at first, no fucking way. This is not the crowd for that. It's not going to go over. No one's going to stand next to the stage and watch. And I could not have been more wrong. I knew people would dig the Rage band because I'd seen videos and they were legit.
Yeah.
I thought
just like them.
Yeah, they even look like them.
Yeah.
And when a cover band like goes the extra mile to even do that, I feel like we got our money's worth. But when Slipknot went on stage and we had met the band, dude, half of them are girls. I didn't even know that. We can't tell. They've all got masks on, but I was meeting the band and shaking everyone's hand, and they could not have been there like, oh, yes, sir. Like, you never would think these guys and girls were in a Slipknot band. Like, they all looked like normal people. And then when they got on stage, I was like, oh, here we go. Crowd's about to turn on us. Holy shit. We had full-blown mosh pits. I was like, I could not have been more wrong. This shit's fucking awesome. And I'm a Slipknot fan now. Like, I'd never listened to Slipknot before Clash Bash 2069, but they fucking converted me.
Yeah.
They were awesome.
And not only that, you had the bonfire going. You had you had one dude just like running around the bonfire in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Charlie.
Yeah, Charlie. It's
You know what's funny about Charlie? 5 minutes before that, he was dressed as Pee Wee Herman. He goes, hold up. He disappeared for like 2 minutes, came back. He's the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, runs around the whole fire, does his bit, disappears again, comes back as Pee Wee Herman.
Yep.
Like, it was like Superman and Clark Kent.
It was. That dude, he just, every time I see him, he just cracks me up. It's so freaking funny. So, but what have you guys even looked to next year as to what you might do the same, do different? Any ideas?
Yeah, we a big change is going to happen next year. I can't say too much, but we want to totally redo the whole way that we give prizes away.
Okay.
A challenge with Kalash Bash every year, and probably the most stressful part. Like, I'll ask you guys, if you had to think, just first thing that comes to your mind, what's the most stressful part of throwing Kalash Bash? Just first thing that comes to your head. Go. Give me an idea.
Money.
Mark?
It's going to have to be the end festivities, closing it out.
Wow, that's exactly right. That's exactly what it is.
Oh.
So what's so crazy about that is everything about these events is really timing. Like, the match has to start and has to finish at a certain time. Gates have to open, have to close at a certain time. Registration has to open, has to close at a certain time. Everything, if it stays on schedule, allows you to have your award ceremony at a certain time, knowing that our award ceremony sometimes can go for like 2 freaking hours. And because we just have so much shit to give away, it's like $100,000 worth of stuff.
Yep.
And you could give something away every 5 minutes and it would still take 2 hours. So the time that we start is so important. And Mark's seen the stressful part. The stressful part is you've got $100,000 worth of prizes and they all have to be allocated. You have to sit down with a spreadsheet with like 300 prizes on it and figure out, okay, that guy gets that, this winner gets that, this costume gets that. It takes us hours to figure out what goes to who and what's going to be random or whatever. All of that has to be like unboxed, placed, labeled, all in the heat of the moment with a huge crowd staring at you, wondering when the whole thing's going to go off.
Yep.
That's like the most stressful moment of the event every year for me, because you have a crowd that's ready to go home. They've just shot a long match. They've had a very long weekend. There's not enough seating for everyone, and they're ready for you to get the freaking show on the road. That's the worst part. So next year, we have an idea of how to get through that a bit more seamlessly, not just at one time, but give away the prizes over throughout the whole weekend. And if we do end up having the big stage at the campsite, possibly even utilizing that as a prize ceremony in a very special way that doesn't force us to make everyone stay so late on Sunday to give away the bulk of the prizes. Yeah. That's all I'm going to say, but that's going to be the big change for next year.
That's going to be very, very interesting to see how that plays out for sure. I know that Possum, he did a bang up job trying to hype up the crowd and keep them entertained while we were, myself and Jim and some of the other guys were trying to get everything arranged on the tables and make sure that competition winners, this is their firearms and here's the prizes for whomever, getting everything lined up. That was it's freaking stressful.
Yeah,
like you said,
you've seen it and you've been involved with it now. You know that, oh God, it's freaking go time. And to touch on Possum, that goes back to like the family aspect of KB. Like, I didn't ask Possum to do that. Sometimes we usually kind of talk to Cody because Cody's he's really good at working crowds. So typically we even have on our spreadsheet, we call it Cody time. It's like this 30-minute block before the ceremony. We know, okay, we're going to give the crowd to Cody for half an hour, and he's going to give away a lot of the small prizes so that people don't just focus on us while we're trying to get the big table lined up. Well, Cody was drowning. Like, there was way too many people, way too many prizes. And from a distance, I remember I was behind the tent doing something, and I can hear Possum in there, let's fucking go, just hyping the crowd up. And I'm like, damn, is that Clark? And I come around the corner, and it's Clark and Cody, like fucking hyping there was a wave at one point, like it was crazy. And I remember thinking in that moment, like, damn, dude, thank God for like fucking friends and people that care about this event and can see when we're like getting a little bit behind schedule. They can see that sweat running down my freaking brow, and they're like, damn, Clay needs a little bit of help here. And they just step up. I didn't even ask him to. And Clark's just one of those guys. And everyone, Mark, you've even like stepped up. So many people have stepped up to the plate that didn't have to at that event. And I honestly wouldn't want to do it if it wasn't for that crowd and the people that come out. It just has a culture unlike, and I go to events all year long, dude. I go to tons of gun events. There's just something about KB. There's something about the people and the crowd, just the feeling there that is so different. It really makes me want to work harder than I've ever worked at any day job, anything I've ever done for like money that pays my rent. I work harder at KB than anything else just because of that.
Yeah.
It just makes me feel good.
Yeah, it's truly a labor of love. And, you know, you had mentioned kind of off the podcast, we've got AK Masters coming up here pretty soon. We've got Red October. There's Thunder in the Tundra. There's a number of different quote unquote AK matches. But me personally, and I'm biased, but me personally, if there is an AK match that I have to allocate vacation time from my day job, it's going to be Kalash Bash every year because of the community, because I know that I'm going to run into friends that I don't get to see very often because of, you know, the party atmosphere, the campgrounds, just being able to, I mean, when are you going to be able to shoot an RPK or a PKM? You know, that's those.
Ukraine.
Well, yeah, you could volunteer for that, but but that is one of the things that I love about Kalash Bash. And you know, I personally have to say, Clay, please, whatever you do not stop doing this. If there's something that you need help on, you know, obviously reach out to the community to make sure that Kalash Bash happens every single year, because this is, it's my vacation. That's what I look forward to.
Super Bowl.
It's
the only, and if it's any consolation to you too, it's the only AK only event that I ever bought a ticket for.
Yep. 100%.
Oh, damn.
So
well, that means a lot. So, thank you. Let's not all start sucking each other's dicks just yet. But I really appreciate
that's
it.
the after show. That's you get to, we call it the reverse OnlyFans model. We're going to start sending all that video out to people, and you have to pay for us to stop. It's been working great for us so far.
Speak of ransomware.
Yeah. And, oh, you don't like seeing this? Pay me to stop. That's like my my get rich quick scheme. I'm going to probably try to do that next year at the Tulip Festival.
Yeah,
bring a recorder out there, and it's like, hey, pay me $5, I'll stop for 5 minutes.
Yeah, right.
It's like those NPCs that you tip to do things. Only you tip us to stop doing things.
Yeah. No, I hear you guys talk about Kalash Bash all the time. I'm super bummed. I remember, what was it, 2 years ago?
Yeah, 22.
22 when I bought the tickets. I was super stoked, ready to go. I had all my stuff packed. And then I got the dreaded COVID for like 2 weeks, and I had to miss it.
And it was like the
hardcore one. And then like the next year, my daughter was born about like, I think it was like a week after Kalash Bash.
Yep.
When you guys were having a September time frame.
Well, yeah, it would have been that time frame. They paused it because of Lethal Weapons.
Yep.
Yeah. So
with Sons of Liberty.
Yep. Sons of Liberty. Yep.
Oh, you know, it's funny. It's funny you bring that up, because we just made a tiny little teaser announcement today. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, I did not. I've been running and gunning all day long.
You've been playing golf, not running and gunning.
Okay, look, I can translate that into shooting. All right, not really.
You went to the range.
I did go to the range.
Went to the range.
Here we go. So you take it from here. I'm gonna go resupply us.
Okay. Yeah, I'll take another one.
Okay.
Here, you hold up. So while he gets us beers, let's talk about how wonderful Mark is.
Mark's pretty great.
And remarks complete. And so, outside of AKs and posting your videos on how to shoot it like a machine gun, What else is there to KlayCo outside of do you guys still post like the random karaoke videos?
All the time. All the time. I don't post them because I can't bear to watch them later, but my wife loads up. So if you want to see it, you got to follow Richellabella 107 on Instagram if you want to see my drunk karaoke and roll.
Did she get banned recently or get
zucked? She's banned off Reddit, but she's still on. She's been kicked. She's been muted on Facebook for cyberbullying multiple times, but she's still there, but she's fully banned from Reddit.
That's hilarious because I could not imagine Richellabella being banned or muted for any reason whatsoever.
Well, she always tells Zach Viator that she's going to like choke him out. She's always cyberbullying him. And even though she's joking, Facebook doesn't know any better. She just catches these 30-day bans all the time.
Catching these 30-day hands. So what else is there to KlayCo besides the AK and Clash Bash?
Well, in my daily life, I'm an electrician. I do process automation and ladder logic for water purification sites, large-scale stuff like reverse osmosis and sand filters and carbon filters and things of that nature. That's how I pay my bills. But that's super boring to talk about. So
actually, no, that actually is really interesting to me because I'm in the process of building a camper out of a school bus, and I just spent like $3,000 on an electrical system that I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing. So talking to an electrician is actually very, very fortuitous for me.
I'm sure there's a tech support number that you can call somewhere on whatever you bought.
Yeah, it's all those. I can't even remember the company name. I got it from. They have, you pay us $100 and we'll help you set it up, sort of thing. But
it's interesting. It's what I find interesting because I've hung out with Clay quite a bit.
Yeah,
and here just a couple of years ago we did a collab and he invited me into his house, which was really cool. What I find so funny is your day job has not prevented, but basically scarred you to the point that you refuse to go to any type of like pool or.
See, we were just talking about this today, me and Rachel. I will not go to water parks.
Yeah. Like it's kind of like the one in Kansas City where they decapitated a kid.
That's true. But it's because of his day job, and you work in basically water purification. I mean, that's a very simplified version of the work that you do. Yeah, I said it. But the things that you told me that you pulled out of the filters, I'm just like, oh my god, don't tell me this.
Yeah, and we so the water that we treat is all chemical plant. So it's whatever they need their processed water for. Maybe they need it. Maybe they need lab grade water. Maybe it's to make tires. Maybe it's for cooling towers, and they need it to not be conductive anymore. Whatever they need that water spec to be, the company that I work for sells multiple types of purification systems, like thousands of GPMs, like really not the small stuff you like shove underneath your sink. Big treatment systems.
Right.
So. We have another branch that they do the treatment systems for like cruise ships and these water parks. And it's what I've heard from these guys that I'll never go back. Like, I'm just going to go stay dry and ride a roller coaster just fine without getting like a Band-Aid stuck to my lip that wasn't mine to start off with, or, drink pee water and everything else, all the other bacteria that's in there. There's no way you'd catch me dead.
So, I mean, everyone just assumes the risk when they go to any sort of aquatic center that there's going to be pee in it, that there's going to be maybe a little blood. But, like, what's the most heinous thing that you've heard in one of these things? What scarred you? What hurt you, Clay? Who hurt you? What hurt you?
Dude, it could be something as simple as they just don't monitor pH balance and the water is really acidic and you just go home with a rash. You've just been burned all day by really low pH water for 8 hours. And you're just like, what are all these red bumps? What the fuck is this? Why does it itch? And then you have blisters. That's nothing more than poor water treatment. That has nothing to do with the kid peeing and pooping in the pool. You're talking about like a bunch of teenagers running water parks that have never treated water before. It's like a stepping stone job to wherever they go next. Maybe they're in college and they're working at the water park. These are the people treating water that you're swimming in for 8 hours out of the day when it should be done by adults. So
I mean, we did in our town have a mass cal event like 2 or 3 years ago.
Really?
Because it was up at Northview, the pool up there.
Really?
Over chlorinated water put like 4 people in the hospital.
What?
Actually, 8 people in the hospital.
8?
8 people in the hospital. Now, granted, it was like for minor burns and everything like that, but
a simple mistake someone could make.
Yeah, someone just over chlorinated the water.
Holy cow!
Yeah, it was a huge deal because it was like a huge mass cal event for a very small town.
Yeah, we don't have our town's not very big at all. So 8 casualties at a pool, that is a mess.
My trainee was one of them, and he's like scarred for life from it. So,
dude, you think you've got it bad? So we live in a gated community, like it's pretty rough around here, and we have a community Facebook page, and we actually had to suffer them closing the community pool because someone pooped in it again. And the post that was on Facebook was, "I just want to know, people that live in apartments shouldn't be allowed to the community. That homeowners pool, they're probably the ones pooping in it that keeps getting it shut down. All you renters." I'm like, damn, I fucking love the community Facebook page.
I would, if I lived in your community, I saw that, I would make it my life's mission to poop in it every night. I'm not saying I'm going to drive down to Texas to poop in a community pool, but if I did,
I would totally just Baby Ruth it. That's what I would do.
That's like, when you have first world problems, when like the biggest thing that comes on your Facebook page is the HOA complaining about people pooping in the community pool.
Yeah, and all the Karens assuming it was renters, which is the best part.
Yeah,
those filthy renters. How dare you?
Goodness.
I mean, granted, we are in like the essentially the gated community of our community.
That's true.
This area. So
yeah, that's true. That we have a community pool, but we're not privileged to have the code for it. So,
Ooh, Mark, that reminds me. So you touched on earlier. You said that you came to my house that one time and we collaborated on that 5.56 AK video.
Yeah.
So Jefe hasn't heard this, but a buddy of mine, Brad, Lemon Grenade on YouTube. He turns off the comments to a lot of his YouTube videos, and he sends me a text. Sorry? He's like, "Dude,
hold on a second.
His name's Brad."
Yeah. You broke up there just for a second.
Sorry. Yeah. M26 Lemon Grenade.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So he sends me a screenshot, and he's like, "This is why I don't allow comments on my YouTube videos." So I'm going to read it to Jefe because Mark's already heard this. In the video, we have a bit where we're like, "Hey, welcome to the KlayCo channel. This is Mark Fit and Fire, and we met on Grindr. Anyway, here's our favorite 5.56 AKs." Funny joke, right? Well, we say it on both videos. So this dude leaves a comment, and he goes, "This video is what, 2 years old, Mark?
Oh yeah,
been up a little while."
Yep.
This guy says, "So I watched this video back when it was published, since I was taking interest in 5.56 AKs and AKs in general. I took the Grindr comments seriously, not in a judgmental way. He wants us to know. I've been thinking Clay was gay for 2 years. I told a lot of my friends about this new AK YouTuber I found that knows quite a bit about AKs, and he's gay. Same goes for this channel as well. So I started getting confused as to who the girl was in Clay's videos, and I thought they were just like really good friends. So now I'm rewatching this video, and I can see how it can be taken as a joke. But as a newcomer, I completely believed it for years."
There's no such thing called as gaslighting. There's no such thing as gaslighting, my friend.
What kills me is the fact that it's like literally a 2-second thing in a 20-minute video.
I mean, that guy's great at actively listening to your videos. He's not someone who's just sitting there. That man is not the one that just puts it, like sits down and poops, listens to like 5 seconds, skips 10 seconds, and just gets the TLDR of your videos. That man listened not just to your video, but to Mark's video as well. So that is a true fan. That's who you should be aiming your audience for.
I just thought it was so funny. Like I try to put myself in his shoes of watching the video. I hear that comment and I go, "Oh, damn, these two dudes, like, are they dating now, or they met and now they're friends and they decided to make a video together? Weird how that happened." Okay.
I mean, they are AK guys. I mean, if you were meeting, I mean, I really feel like the AK community in a nutshell. It's almost sort of like, I'm going to try to figure out the best way to describe this. It's kind of like finding out in high school that people also played video games. Like back in this is like back in the early 2000s when it was like kind of verboten to talk about it. It's
yeah.
like, oh,
you're not
yeah. I mean, yeah, it's like I play my video games online. Oh, so you play Counter-Strike? I mean, if I did play Counter-Strike, how would I find you? And then you just kind of like then eventually you find out that everyone just it's like mainstream. Like, you don't play video games? What kind of nerd are you? You go outside? What?
Oh wow, dude, you just blew my mind. That's got to be how gay dudes, when they start to their gaydar starts to go off, and they're like, that's how they start hanging out.
You're just like, yeah, I need to go home and like look at gay porn.
Actually, to be frankly honest with you, this is some of the listening audience will understand this. Jefe will understand this 100%. But the AK community is very much like a military platoon, right? Yes.
No.
Yes, it is. Especially combat arms.
It's I would equate it to like, I do want to say like a bunch of like airsoft hooligans. But
no, it turns into a whole bunch of just freaking gay innuendos at some point.
I mean, I feel like that's like any male community you go into. It's just like, all right, so welcome to the CrossFit gym. We're going to be working out together. You're mandated to say at least 6 gay innuendos and touch my butt twice.
That's true.
I just feel like that's like every single community that's like male driven these days.
Yeah.
I mean, like Black Rifle Coffee is a great example.
That's a true thing. But let's shift gears here.
Okay.
That's what we call in the business foreshadowing. Clay, you're a bit of a car guy too, aren't you?
More or less, yeah.
Yeah. You had a really nice Mustang there you still have it, or
that's kind of an open wound that you.
I'm sorry.
In our defense, we asked, "Is there anything that we shouldn't talk about?"
You shouldn't talk about my Mustang that my wife made me sell.
No.
That's okay. She'll hear this later. We haven't fully gotten through we're still
healing.
Seeking counseling on that. We're still not fully through it.
Mm-hmm.
But no, dude, before guns, I used to have a side business where I would install lift kits on Jeeps, trucks, whatever. So back when I was much younger, I worked at an electrical panel building shop. I did a lot of electrical drawings and I would build panels, but we had a car lift in there that could hold, I don't know how many, I think it was like 12,000 pound lift, whatever it was, but it was enough where we could lift the majority, like most Jeeps and like light duty trucks. And gotten a Jeep Cherokee and I put like a 3-inch short arm kit on it and 33-inch tires and lockers and did the whole thing. And like, I even did a 5-speed swap on it in a weekend. And I really like learned a lot about what I know about mechanics on that Jeep, just figuring it out. Just a young kid, broke, but I wanted like a really freaking cool Jeep. So we did all that. And then same dude that I ended up learning competitive shooting with, Chris, he and we go to a 4-wheel drive convention. And I don't know how we did it, but we talked 4-wheel parts into giving us a dealer account. We're like, yeah, we have a shop with a lift. Of course we're good to go. It was actually our panel shop that we just worked out of on the weekends. And they gave us a dealer account. And on Craigslist, I used to advertise, like, I will beat anyone's price in town to install a lift kit. We have no overhead. I will beat anyone's price. And we damn sure did, dude. I would buy lift kits at 30% off. I would sell them at cost, and I would just make people pay for the labor. And Chris and I were installing lift kits like twice every weekend for like $1,000 a pop. And we both ended up having really dope ass Jeeps out of it. And I learned so much back in those days. And then I got really hardcore into Fox body Mustangs. I drove one in high school, stick shift, long time. It was not the greatest car ever. And then later in life, I bought like the dream Fox body, 93 black on black coupe, 347 stroker, just minty, fresh, freaking Fox body Mustang. And I had to sell that to buy my house. So it was like too good to be true. I lived in a tiny apartment, but I had a sick ass Fox body and like no garage to put it in. It was just too nice. And then when I got my house later, I got another Fox body, the red one, Mark, that you've probably seen in photos.
Right.
Same car I had in high school. Freaking loved it. My wife hated it. She just didn't get it. Rachel's just not. She doesn't get the muscle car thing, like the sports car thing. She's totally not into it. And I like Jeeps more than I like Mustangs. Them bitches love the Jeeps. So I bought another Jeep. Rachel loves it. So it's a win-win.
Yeah.
And got a neat little TJ now. But, dude, I love it. I've always wished sometimes, I don't fully wish this, but sometimes I think, like, as far as YouTube goes, because, it's almost impossible to get gun videos monetized, and it's just not financially viable to do gun content anymore. But I thought, man, I know a lot about mechanics and cars. Why didn't I start a freaking automotive YouTube channel? It probably would have made money. It probably would have been a much better financial decision in life. And maybe I'd be a little bit farther ahead in my life. You know what I'm saying, Mark?
Yeah, but it's never too late.
Yeah, you could be like, what's it, Donut Media Group or Donut?
Guys, I've put all my eggs in one basket already. There's no turning back. I'm committed.
Hey, you already converted once. You went from anodized AR-15s to like AKs. You could do it all again to sell all your AKs, buy another Fox body.
Yes, that's true, dude. Maybe there's a whole nother metamorphosis I could get into. I'd have to come up with a creative name to do car stuff.
Like the
KlayCo thing. Yeah, dude. It's funny. Like, in all seriousness, I'm around drag racing and car shows and stuff like that all the time to this day. Like, I've got all this content just laying out there that's just ripe for the taking. And I don't film any of it, and I probably should. I have filmed, dude, I'll tell you this. I filmed an awesome video of my dad's, like, twilight year car collection that he has right now. And he's, like, finally in that position of his life where he's got money, and he's got 3 really freaking cool street cars. He's drag raced his whole life since the 80s. That's all he knows. It's all he cares about. And I did this awesome Father's Day gift where I interviewed him, talked about his dad, my grandpa, how he like influenced him, filmed his car collection, filmed him street racing, and I packaged it all up into like a little mini documentary about my dad. And no one's ever seen it. Like, it's uploaded to my YouTube channel unlisted so that my dad can watch it anytime he wants. But no one's ever seen it. And after I filmed that, I'm like, damn, I feel like I was kind of good at that. Like, that was a good car video. Why don't I just make a friggin' YouTube channel and kind of get away from all this gun stuff? But every time I try to get out, they just pull me right back in, Mark.
Yeah. You're telling me that's why I'm still here.
The next big thing is Jefe over here is going to get you indoctrinated into revolvers.
Oh, you want to talk about our Lord and Savior, Smith and Wesson? No, actually, I was just talking with Tucker today. He went and bought like 3 new revolvers.
Did he really?
Yeah, he's buying revolvers like crazy, man.
Oh my gosh,
I could totally get into that, dude. I grew up with lever guns and wheel guns.
Oh my gosh,
there we go. Everyone's moving to revolvers.
You should have
now.
seen Jefe just perk up in his seat as soon as you said that. He was just like, oh, lever. Did you say lever guns?
No. I got a Henry Golden Boy in my safe right now.
See, there you go, man of culture. And it probably doesn't have an optic on it. It doesn't have a laser. It doesn't have a flashlight.
Nope. Octagon barrel, like the way it was intended. Iron sight.
So it's going to have. You said it's the Golden Boy, so it's going to have the brass receiver. Yeah,
brass receiver. Very nice wood stock.
357.
This one's actually 22 long.
Okay.
I've had it since 13 years old, maybe 12.
Yeah. Wow.
Love it. I want, now that Henry's finally added the trapdoor where you can actually top off their freaking guns and don't make. It's like everything Henry's ever made was tube fed. So you couldn't shoot them at matches because you would flag yourself. And a lot of matches don't let you shoot lever guns that way. Even Cowboy Action, it has to be breech loaded from the side. And now Henry does that. So you can buy like big boys and golden boys with freaking breech loaders on the side. And I am so excited to get a 357 and run 38 special through it. I can't freaking wait.
Well, it sounds like I know a guy that has one. If you're ever interested,
he has a Model X. You don't want.
I want a Model X though.
Oh. Yep.
Okay.
So I have, and it's got all of the
Midwest Industries on it.
No, it's not Midwest. That's the Marlin, the
Henry, the Marlin Night Dark. What do they call it?
No, I just got a regular 336W. And then I added the Midwest Industries like handguard and stuff like that. But the Henry That ended up with the Ranger Point Precision.
That's what Ranger Point.
Yes. They sent me a whole like kit. So it's all kitted out with all the M-Lock handguard and buttstock and everything.
See, this is what I'm so mad about. So I bought a Winchester 94. It's like an early 70s, so it's like it's a post 64. It's probably a garbage rifle. I got an auction for like $400, and it was somewhat rusted out. The stock is all dinged up, and I sent it to. This is back in like 2012, 2011. Back before like the whole lever action phase was cool, and I sent it off to a gunsmith, and he chopped it down to 16 inches and threaded the barrel.
See, that's what I want.
And I was like, this is the coolest gun to ever exist in the entire world. And then now I spent so much fucking, like, the amount of money I spent on that rifle to get like re-Cerakoted, chopped down, all this custom work done, and now it's like, cool, I can go buy any sort of rifle like that now.
It's a 30.
But
yeah,
it's got the character wear, and that's the one thing that I can't stand about what Henry's doing. The Model X is cool, but I don't understand why they don't just make a more traditional model with the wood stocks, or even like a Golden Boy or something, like a Golden Boy Big Boy. Thread the barrel, like do an actual octagon barrel, have an octagon shaped thread protector on it with factory furniture. That is what I want. But like no one really makes that particular gun off the shelf.
I feel like they are playing the market correctly. There's the guys that want the classic rifle, and there's the guys that want the tactical rifle, and those groups very seldomly meet in the middle. But if you want like a hunt showdown, like, is that do you play that game at all? Do you play video games at all?
Man, the last video game I played was Red Dead Redemption 2. When I completed it, I was like, you know what? I'm going to end on a high note, and that's literally the last time I played a game.
That's fair. There's a game called Hunt Showdown, and it's all the weapons are based off of like Civil War era, like late 1800s, early 1900s guns, and they have like a bunch of suppressed like lever action, like octagonal barrel suppressed lever actions you can get.
That's the shit, though, dude.
Yeah, and it's it's like things are just bolted on. It's very, very. I'm a gunsmith. I have a bolt and a Dremel. I'm going to make this work.
Yep.
But, so you're big into the lever actions and the revolver. So what revolvers are we looking at here?
So I really want to get a Vaquero. My dad always had Vaqueros growing up. I never had one. I would love to have one. I've grown up with like the whole plethora of 22 long rifle, Rugers and Marlins and all the different off brands. But when I was a little kid, I had just a Ruger 22 that you could interchange the Magnum cylinder with the long rifle cylinder. I would have that and my Golden Boy. I had a custom drop leg holster made with the bandolier, had the whole thing. When I was young, dude, that is all I cared about. I would practice quick drawing, twirling, shooting bottles out of the air. And I just thought it was cool as shit. Tombstone was my favorite movie. Kind of still is. My dad looks like Tombstone, early 90s era. What's the guy's name?
Kurt Russell.
My dad looks like Kurt Russell, like spitting image, same jawline, same mustache, everything. Mark, you might have even seen my dad at KB. He was only there for like an hour, but he literally looks like Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
So when I was a kid, Dad would always have a wheel gun tucked in his pants, and we would go to my grandma's house where we would all go shoot. And I would watch this dude just never missed, would throw baby food jars up in the air, would draw, shoot, one shot, rain glass, cans, didn't matter what it was. He would never miss. So that had such an effect on me at a young age. I thought he was like my freaking hero. I thought, my dad is literally Kurt Russell from Tombstone. It's the coolest thing ever. And I became obsessed with shooting 22 wheel guns. Keep in mind, I'm like a preteen at this point. And I bet you through those two guns alone, my Golden Boy and that Ruger, I could have shot 20,000 rounds of freaking 22 long, just laying waste to turtles, snakes, crows, anything, baby food jars. Like I cherish those years, man. And I'm at a time in my life now where I am starting to feel that AK burnout. ARs have been burned out for since like 2016. Like if it doesn't have a carry handle, I literally could not give a fuck about it. I just don't. But lever guns, dude, the Ranger Point stuff, that's all cool, but I just want a super stinky looking lever gun with wood furniture that's got character wear, that's older than me, that has a can hanging off the end. That is what I'm currently working towards. And a couple of Vaquero pistols.
Well, then I have to send you a photo of my lever action. I think you'll love that one.
Yep.
So then we just confirmed Lever Bash, Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah,
dude, I would love to do some cowboy action stuff.
That would be cool, actually.
Yeah, I know. Topeka had it for a long time. I don't know if they
really?
still. Yeah, I don't think they do it anymore.
Capital City or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The fun one.
Don't get enough credit. That's what those guys can do is so impressive.
It is actually, yeah.
Or I got deep in the rabbit hole of some single action the other day, and it was these guys are doing like quad shots with this how they move their hand over. They essentially bump fire these single shot revolvers. They draw it, hold the trigger down, and it's like thumb, and how they just roll their hands over the hammer.
Some Bob Munden shit.
Yeah, it's like you're shooting like 4 or 5 rounds.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And then to watch the like what do you call it? The side by side, not the side by side, is the shotguns, the
double barrel shotguns.
Double barrel. Oh
side by side. I mean, yeah, side by side.
Yeah, this is beer number 8 for me. So really struggling tonight. But to watch them, in competition on
shoot.
Yeah, shoot. Yeah, thank you. But they go through, they do their iteration with the lever gun, and then they transition to their 6-shooters, and then they pick up their double barrel shotgun and do whatever. It's actually pretty impressive.
And they're using period gear.
Yes.
All leather period era gear, and they're crushing stages.
Well, there was a organization around here, and I don't know if I think it's still part of that the Capital City Shooting Club, and it was the wax bullet quick draw stuff. And what they had was, it was about it was like, a little steel target about, I don't know, probably like 5-7 yards from you, and you're shooting these wax bullets. And essentially what it was is a quick draw competition. Like the light would ping, and then you had to like draw and shoot as fast as you can at that target and try to hit it.
Yeah. That'd be cool. Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's what like I have these 2 conspiracy theories of why everyone's getting super big into lever action guns and revolvers these days, is because we're just so burnt out.
That's what it is. 100%. It's not even a conspiracy theory. That's what got me into AKs.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's AR looked the same. I mean, dude, still to this day, it's like I said, dude, it can be a SIG Spear. I don't care about it. It can be some dope ass LMT government contract. There's only 60 in the country. I don't know why. It just doesn't tickle my nutsack, because it's just been so much of the same thing for like what the ban lifted in 2004. It's been 20 freaking years of the same ARs, dude. I think that's why we're seeing the huge boom in AK culture, lever action culture, retro gun culture in general, because what's old is new again now. And it's big time. I think AR burnout has spawned all of that, all of those subcultures that are booming right now. Or is it because that the government wants us to get rid of all our ARs, so they're making them uncool and making it super hip to own like FALs and AKs, stuff that we don't have parts for and no supply chains for. So if there was something, I don't know, like something were to happen,
some type of legislation that came after a red flag event or something like that.
No, it's funny. And I guess kind of joked about it the other day, the amount of Coloradans that are like, look at my cool new lever action rifle. This thing is so cool. I don't know why more people don't have lever action
That
rifles.
was the thing that we pulled away from SHOT Show too, was all of these different Aero Precision. They're now coming out with a lever action.
Well, so you left already, but Kyle and I went and talked with Aero, and they just kind of looked at us like, hey man, we sell a product that the people at Oregon, they live in, is it Oregon?
Oregon.
It's like they can't even buy. So we figured we should make something that they could buy.
Yeah.
Same reason everyone makes California compliant guns, because it's a massive market.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, to go back to what Clay was saying with ARs, you know, ARs, it is an over-engineered rifle. But if I can take a Daniel Defense Mark 12 with a 2 to 12 powered scope on it and place top 5 at a 2-gun match. Now, granted, it's not
out of 6 people.
No, there was all right. God, every time. Give me
the link to practice score. I'm going to check. I bet there was.
I know, right?
Yeah, I'll send it right now.
But no, there was like I think that match was 28 or 32, one of the two, but still took top 5 with an AR with a medium power variable optic. It was too easy, to be frankly honest with you, and that's one of the reasons why I've enjoyed AK matches so much, is because it is a little bit more difficult, you know. So, and it's just,
dude, it's like crushing a match with training wheels on and then bragging about it. And all these dudes running AKs are, you know, stumbling around riding a bike for the first time. But when that guy actually does good, I feel like he actually really has something to brag about. He had to do so much more and grind so much harder to place that high when the cards were stacked against him.
Yeah.
In a sea of AR shooters.
And it's funny to watch you too. You know, you'll just go to a match and you'll just bring something that you're testing, and you're like, we'll just see how well it does. And you still place in like top 5 or, you know, top 3 or something like that. It's just like, this is ridiculous at this point, you know.
Dude, there's no better feeling. And this isn't even like a malicious thing. I'm not like picking on anybody, but it's a super cool feeling. I love going to a match where, not that I'm well known, but I like when like no one knows who I am. I want to look like the nerd that brought an AK to like an overly dominated AR match. And Suns used to be that match, but now I know all the dudes at Suns.
Right.
That first Suns I went to when I think I brought an M90. I remember I love when people talk trash because it's an AK. Like, I love that old gun shop lore because I can't wait to break some hearts later. Like, that is my num, like just like Kobayashi, dude. I just want to eat it up. I freaking love it. It's a guilty pleasure of mine to bring an AK to a match that I've never been to before and just see like how many people here are just thinking I'm just going to be a freaking nerd all weekend. I cannot wait to see how high I can place with an AK against all these dudes. It's one of my favorite things in the world to do, hands down.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, just a couple of years ago, I did tactical games, and, you know, that is a very, very physical event. That has, yeah. And I brought my Sam 5, probably not the best setup. I probably could have done a little bit more, put a little bit more thought into the setup, but even still, I didn't place very well in my division because I was the 40 plus elite or whatever, which was a very, very tough. I mean, we're picking up sandbags that are 180 pounds and you have to do it multiple times. And I'm like, but regardless of that point, I still placed in the top 50 percentile of everyone else who was shooting ARs. And I to this day, I remember starting this one stage and you have to shoot from the prone on top of a helicopter fuselage, and the RSO looks at me and he says, "Are you shooting an AK?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Okay." And he's like, "Are you 10 seconds and you have to get ready because you go in waves on this particular stage. Every 3 minutes a new person starts." And I was like, "Okay, I'm ready." And he says, "Go." And the first round that I shoot is a 150-yard target on steel, and it's first round impact. And he's like, "Oh, okay." And I was like, "Yeah, you get that reassurance from people that what you're doing, and then being able to be pulled aside as you're walking from one stage to another." And it's like, what rifle is that? And I was like, "Oh, this is a Sam 5. It's an Arsenal Sam 5. And they're like, "Is that an AK?" "Yeah, it's an AK." You're shooting an AK here? Yeah. I mean, you just kind of stare
think
at him
about that, Mark. If you would have shot the Mark 12 has cool points, but let's just say you shot your run-of-the-mill free-floated M4,
Mhm.
you know, proof research barrel, whatever. Let's say you did exactly the same placement. You met that exact same RO. He probably wouldn't have even said anything to you. He would have been like,
Right.
"Hey, 10 seconds, you ready?" No one would have pulled you to the side to say, "Dude, what?" None of that would have happened. Even if you placed exactly the same, I don't think anyone would have thought that you had done anything special or anything particularly hard. But because you brought the AK, people notice that shit and it freaks people out. And I think people are just not capable. And sure, I am not delusional. AR-15s, even a cheap one, it's just going to be inherently a little bit more capable than even a very high-end AK. There's just certain things that the AK just can't overcome. I get it. But when you are able to push it to that limit and people see that,
Yeah,
it's such a special feeling, dude. And you felt it just right there. It's very unique. It's hard to replicate.
absolutely.
So now, keeping in the spirit of that, have you ever heard the Mammoth Sniper Challenge?
No.
I haven't heard of this.
It's a every year they do. It's a 3-day sniper spotter challenge where essentially one person is the spotter and has to have some sort of 5.56 or 308 platform, and the other one can have anything not Magnum. How cool would it be if someone runs like a 5.56 AK and a drug knob
Yeah.
and do this entire it's
PSL,
like
yeah.
or PSL or something like that?
That would be
super
cool.
dope.
Yeah, so I'd say look at it. Mammoth Sniper Challenge. It's like it's one of those. Definitely, it's 3 days of you're living out of a rucksack, so whatever you have on your back is what you get, and it's a lot of rucking. So, and out in the mountains of I think Washington.
I have to bring like a Game Boy or something.
No, it's a lot of walking. A lot of walking. So
that would be cool. We should.
yeah,
we should.
So if you know
out.
anybody wants to sponsor us,
does a Taro Arms have some type of?
that 240 we need, I suppose. Is lugging that through the fucking mountains. That'd be great.
That would be awesome.
I was meaning to ask you guys how you got tied up with a Taro because I love Jesse and everything he does. How did that happen?
That's a good question. I think we just sent him a DM and I just asked him. I was like, "Hey, I got this new podcast. Would you be interested in sponsoring it?" And he's like, "Yeah, absolutely." And that was just really the end of it, you know.
So what happened with me with a Taro is
well, yeah. There's two separate DMs.
Yeah, there's two separate DM stories. How I kind of got involved with him. So
feet pics.
No, it was even worse than that. So he randomly posted one day.
It's months ago. It was like
this
over
is
a year.
This is a year ago.
Right. Yeah.
A year ago. He was posting like this random mounts that they made at some point. They had like a Mosin Nagant one, like an SKS one. And then he posted up a photo of one for a J-frame revolver. And this is like, I'm still kind of going through I'm an LA noir detective phase of my life. And I have to have like 3 sort of revolvers on me. I need to get a Fitzgerald special sometime in my life. So I started messaging him like, "Hey, I would love to have one of these." And then I started like zip tying Acro P2s to my J frames and sending it to him saying, "Please make me a mount for this thing." And eventually he said, "Okay, hey, tell you what, once we get these grips taken care of, like, 'cause this is when they're coming out with their AK grips.
Yep.
It's like, once we get these knocked out and start like on their own thing, we will make one of these for you." And that was August last year.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. and still nothing. So we still every podcast we bully Atero in talking about how they are the premier J-frame optics,
and they're not anymore. They are not anymore. Shield Arms. I bet you Shield Arms listen to this podcast. Hey, Shield Arms, I'm looking right at you, man. I have several of your mags, and I have several revolvers that need your luscious mounts. So just send me a DM. I know you're listening. Send me a DM. Let's talk. We can do something with the tarot on the side, but you're my priority right now. So,
but yeah, Jeff C. I went and saw him at Clash Bash, and I just wanted to make sure that we connected face to face because I wasn't sure if I'd actually met him at the previous Clash Bash. But I walk up and I look at him and I was like, "Hey, do you guys actually have a mount for a J-frame?" And he just stopped and looked at me, paused for a second. He's like, "Oh wait, actually I do." And he just like reached down into a box and started rummaging around through it, and then stopped there. And he's like, "I don't remember where I put it." And I was like, ah, oh, and then I introduced him. I was like, "Hey, it's Mark." And he's like, "No, I know exactly who you are." And he's like, if Jefe was going to be here, I was going to literally like look through this box for 5 minutes, just making him wait. Yeah.
And I would wait. I would wait. But I mean, it's something like on all honesty, and Atero, Jesse, just plug your ears real fast. I really don't need one, and I don't know what I would do with it. But we're at a point where I'm so deep and I can't stop.
What would that that revolver that I gave you? It was the
Rossi.
Yeah. Would it fit on that?
No.
Because it has a channel.
It's not a J-frame.
It has a channel.
Because it's not a J-frame.
Look.
Because it's not a J-frame.
I understand that. But
no, you don't, because you keep on asking questions about it.
Okay, fine. It's not a J-frame. Clay, it's not a J-frame, so it won't fit.
Okay, it's not a J-frame.
Okay, yeah.
You know, I'm in a similar situation with a company.
Yeah.
You know, keeping up, like, I don't want to call it a lie, but keeping up a front that things might not be as they seem. You guys familiar with the company? They're kind of small. Not many people know them. KlayCo47 USA. You've heard of them?
Yeah.
I heard they went bankrupt.
Yeah, I know some drama with them.
Kind of an unknown company.
Yeah,
I don't think that many people know about them.
Pretty funny. I spent about half an hour talking about them last night with one of my friends that came into town. So that's pretty funny.
Yeah, for some reason, I don't know why, but a lot of people think that Tony and I, like through Third Pin, actually purchased this pseudo defunct American AK manufacturer. I don't know if you guys heard about that.
You didn't do that?
I'm not saying I did. I'm not saying I didn't. I'm just asking if you heard about it.
Oh yeah, I know all about it, but
no.
I'm only proving what Jacob tells me, to be honest. And then I'm like, hey, that's cool.
Yes.
Anyway, here's some memes about hot dogs.
Here's hot dogs.
Here's Wonderwall.
Well, when that is all said and done, I would love to make a montage of the DMs that Tony and I got from like the day that started up until now.
Oh my goodness.
Oh man. I literally had a guy, his name, I won't say his name, but he used to work for a company, Dead Goose Society back in the day. They would build AKs. He now works for the DOJ, and he works in ITAR a lot. And he even started sending messages going, "Hey, Clay, I think you and I should talk. Heard about the KUSA thing. I don't really think you fully understand what you're getting into with these Russians and ITAR. I really want you to really I don't want you to have to watch your back. You need to call me." I was like, oh, shit. I don't even know what to say. I feel bad now. So anyway, I kind of let him off the hook, and he's like, oh, geez, fuck. Did I fall for that? I'm like, yeah, you fucking fell for that hard,
dude. What's funny is because freaking I sent you a text message, and I was like, dude, congrats. And then freaking Jacob's like, why did you send that text to Clay? And I was like, damn it. And so I immediately texted you back and was like, never mind, LOL.
Now you're saying that
so many companies reach out.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Many.
Hey, you should do it. You should do it, man.
You just keep it. Yeah,
just do it.
Yeah, I mean, why not?
We're gonna keep it going. I'm gonna ride that train till the wheels fall off. It got Third Pin like 1,000 new followers. So to me, it was a win-win.
This is what you do. You start a company called Clay USA.
Right,
bro.
We've done it.
Yeah.
About the URL.
And just make the logo like the exact same, but just put like instead of like put the under the K, just put like Clay really, really small. Just ride that gravy train, man.
Well, it's like
yeah.
DSA.
I want to redirect
DSA.
the KlayUSA.com to KUSA.com. And
oh my God, that would be hilarious. Oh, everybody would be so confused. But on Instagram, DSA, right? So DS Arms, right? There was a parody account called Definitely Not DSA.
Yes.
the DSA took the time to freaking reach out to them and sent them a DM and was like, please stop. It was like, oh my goodness. Anyway,
they were super mad about that.
Yeah.
We couldn't stop talking about it when we were booking him for Lethal Weapons. He's like, yeah, but there's this fucking other Instagram that just their whole existence is to fuck with us. And I hate him.
It's hilarious though. I mean, there for a while, you couldn't. I thought it was legitimately DSA, and
the same pictures and everything. It looked so legit.
And they were just like trolling everybody else there for the longest time.
So you're saying we're going to start Definitely Not PSA?
Okay, all right. Let's be serious here. We had Matt on, right?
Yeah, we had Matt.
Matt spent a lot of time talking about the Crink. Just the other day, I shot the PSA Crink, and I was thoroughly impressed. Now, this is a Crink that I was loaned from Rodrigo. So
and he reamed that chamber good and hard for you.
Did he? Did he really?
He did.
He didn't tell me what he did with it. He just like, I've ran like 1,200 rounds through it. And then through our DMs, he mentioned that he polished some things. But that is the smoothest shooting short barreled 5.56 that I've ever shot before. And then you add the Putnik on top of that. And I was just like, oh man, this is like legit crazy. And I bet if I hadn't said anything, if Matt was here and just handed it to him and said, shoot this, he would eat his words. I guarantee you that.
So the problem with Matt, that man, is that that guy sticks to his convictions.
That is true.
He's one of those few guys that he says something and he believes with all his heart, and there's no changing his mind.
Yeah. That's the AK community.
Yeah.
Which is like, I should be like burned like a witch because I'm shooting a 5.56 AK.
PSA shill.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's a 5.56 AK, which is not an AK, brother.
Oh my God. So, which is
what's
funny.
your thoughts about 300 blackout AKs?
Oh yeah. Actually, that's actually a really good question, Clay.
Gets a pass.
Yeah,
it does, because it's 30 cal, not 20.
I don't make the rules, all right? The AK world has spoken. 5.56 AKs are gay. 300 blackout's actually pretty cool.
Okay.
It's like, but it's for the longest time it was like 300 blackout. It sounds like 7.62 by 39, only harder, you know?
Sounds like slavery with more steps.
Oh my God. But the thing that I throw into people's face all the time is like when they start bitching about 5.56 AKs, I was like, okay, well, do you have an AR? Well, yeah. Is it in 5.56? Well, of course it is. Okay, well, why isn't it in 308? Because that's what the AR was originally designed for, was 7.62 by 51. It's called the AR-10 at the time, but no one wanted it, right? So you are now changing that platform into something that you like, but yet you don't want to change the AK into something that is a little bit more modern as well. So
actually has ammo available.
Exactly. That is, yeah.
I don't know why people get so twisted up about it. Freaking 1911s are chambered in 9mm now.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Glocks come in every flavor. ARs come in every flavor.
There's no
just
30
about any gun out there comes in every freaking flavor.
No Glock 30 super carry just yet. I did almost buy this the other day though. Lone Wolf was having a sale on their 9mm Makarov barrel conversion kits for the Glock 42, and I have one. I was super close to buying it.
Why? Why would you do that?
Why not, man?
No, I don't even understand why you would do that. You have a Makarov.
I do have a Makarov, but
So-
then I can shoot 2 guns with the Makarov ammo I don't have.
So every month I've been doing the ammunition video, what's the prices, Smash Time TV, he's been doing that for a long time, and he's like, yeah, definitely do it in your area. There'd be a lot of great information. Well, while I'm filming, I was in Academy just the other day. I was filming all the different, cartridges or whatever, and this dude's like, there's no freaking 7.62x39. What the hell? And I was like,
where you been?
I know. I just turned at him. I was like, is he serious? And then the dude behind the counter was like, I'm sorry, you're looking for an ammo, some type of ammo? And he's like, yeah, I'm looking for AK ammo. And he's like, oh yeah, we don't have any of that. And I was like, I looked at them both like, what the fuck are you talking? I was like, there's some right down here. It's Hornady Black. I mean, it's the boutique stuff, right? So it's the nice ammo, but there's some right down there. And he's like, $20 a box. That's a lot. I was like, you could just go on Ammo Seek.
Yeah, why the hell are you in Academy right now, dude? Go use the internet.
Yeah. So we started talking a little bit, and I was like, so, tell me about this, why you're looking for AK ammo. He's like, well, I've got my ARs and everything. And just like we've been talking about in this podcast, it's just something different. And he likes to take his AK out and plink with it and stuff like that. So I was telling him about Ammo Seek, and I was like, oh, by the way, there's also a new manufacturer. It's imported ammo from Azerbaijan. It's a company called Tela. And he's like, yeah, I know that company. And I was like, no, it's not the company. It's not Tula. It's Tela, Tela. And he's like, oh, okay. I was like, it's not necessarily cheap, but it's something better than what you're looking at right here.
Well, why'd you send over to Ace? Ace has a ton, don't they?
I don't think that they have a lot anymore.
Well, they have. I think they stole that box of subsonics, that like the 196 subsonics that they bought.
I know. Yeah, I need to go in there and just buy all of that.
Yeah, that was super cool shooting out of my AK suppressed.
Yeah, so the local shop here still has Brown Bear subsonics, which is like almost yeah.
What
are they charging for it though?
I don't know. I mean, I remember when I bought it, it was about the same. About same price per round as like normal 7.62.
Yeah, it's not that anymore. I want to say it's probably somewhere between $15 to $17 a box, but still, that's still really good for subsonic 7.62x39. So, but anyway, I just found it funny that the one guy that was like getting in my way while I'm trying to film was talking about AK ammo, and I'm just like, oh, you just bumped into the right guy to talk to about this.
I can't wait to tell you everything that there is to know and love about the platform.
Yeah. Have you heard about our Lord and Savior Mikhail Kalashnikov and the gift of the automatic Kalashnikov of 1947?
Yeah, Mark takes a huge drag from a cigarette. It all started back in 1947.
It's like
started in 2016 when they killed Harambe.
Harambe. It's like that that Matthew McConaughey meme where he's just like sucking on that freaking cigarette.
Come with me, Tavarish. We'll talk about the many things.
So I feel like we've all had that moment where we're telling ourselves, "Oh, don't go into a rant. Don't let this person know that you're fucking ate up with AKs," and then they just ask that one question. You're like, here's how it all started. And you're like Charlie Day lining up the freaking evidence on the wall with
Carol and Carol.
The only time I've ever had that moment with AKs was I had the pleasure of going to actually go into Kujir for a little bit during the like tail end of COVID, and I got to talk with some of the people that live there about AKs, and most of them are like, yeah, we make AKs here. It's not that big of a deal. I'm like, not that big of a fucking deal, dude. Like, there's a cultural revolution happening in fucking Texas right now because of y'all, like what you guys are doing right here. You don't even know.
So. You ever heard of rap music? KlayCo?
You started that.
Yeah. Congrats.
I'm actually trying to really get in good with like the Zastava guys to see if there's any possible way that I could fly over to Serbia, yeah, and do a tour, do a tour.
A bit of tourism like the Serbians usually
exactly, do. Right. But do a tour of the plant there in Serbia. I think that would be really cool.
No, yeah. I think Serbia or Slovenia. I'm thinking Serbia. Serbia is
Serbia. Yeah. It's right next to
Bulgaria and Bosnia and Kosovo.
And all that, yeah. They fought a war in the 90s. I don't know if you know about this.
Yeah, because the people I just went to Oregon to support, they're going to Kosovo to not hang out with the Serbs.
Yeah. I don't know if you know this or not, but their president may or may not have been almost assassinated.
Archduke Ferdinand.
Yeah, I know, right?
I sound like, well, this is like history doesn't repeat itself, but it sure is fucking rhyming right now.
Not at all. Right in this, almost in the same block. Oh my goodness!
Yeah,
so
it's almost like comical. I would say, I'm like, oh.
Mm-hmm. So Clay, if you had to tour, if you had the ability to tour any manufacturer, especially like AK, what do you think it would be for you?
You know, like the gut reaction is, the gut reaction is like to go see the Kalashnikov concern plant, which would be cool. But I mean, you know, Larry Vickers used to say when they were making those coffee table books, he was asked point blank, like, you know, in all of your travels, you've made all of this literature and all these different AK manufacturers, who makes the best? And he kept saying verbatim, the Poles make some of the best AKs. Still to this day, they just make some of the best AKs. So I think I would love to go to the FB Rodham plant. I think that would be super cool to see all the barrels get made and see all their like little mini barrels. That would be super cool. And right behind that, I think Zastava would be cool. Zastava makes so many cool AK variants that they've never brought over here that most people don't even know exist. A lot of 5.56 stuff. And it would be really cool to see that.
Yeah, there's one that I just stumbled across last week. I think it's like a M21 or something.
M21,
like.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I had never seen that before. And I just randomly, I was doing some research on Zastava for M90 video and came across this M21. And I was like, what is this? And I started looking into it. And I was like, I know. I was like, man, this
looks like a budget Galil. Sorry, I'm just looking at a photo of it.
You know who has one stateside? Who actually has like an actual one? They got a kit in somehow. Scott from RS Regulate has a functional M21 in his collection.
How did he end up with that?
The same way everyone ends up with cool rare AKs, Mark, through crime.
Sticking it up a butthole.
Piece by piece.
How do you think I got my Makarov out of Bulgaria?
Yeah, that is actually a really cool story. Freaking Jefe ended up with the Makarov that he handpicked while he was in Bulgaria. Is that right?
I was in Bulgaria. We made some friends with the guys who were. It's essentially the way Sentry is importing a lot of their stuff is through the Ministry of Defense for most of these companies. It's pretty much, hey, we just sell you our crappy surplus to Century Arms, and Century Arms hires people to import them, and then they get sent to where's Century Arms? Like Kentucky, Tennessee, wherever. Florida gets their stamps and then send them on out. So we made some friends with the Ministry of Defense, who was in charge of essentially selling surplus to these organizations. And the guy found out I was really big into guns, so he let me. He's pretty much like, hey, you pick whatever you want, and you just have to cover import costs. That's all you got to cover. And this guy took me to this like warehouse in downtown Sofia, in Bulgaria, and the amount of crime that would cost, like the stuff I was picking out, I was like, oh, this is like a like they had a bunch of, you know, most of it's military surplus stuff. So they had some drug knobs there. They had a couple, you know, this full auto AKs. and towards the end, it eventually became okay. You can either do a Tokarov or a Makarov. You pick, because that's the only thing that they could legally import to the U.S. at one point. But it was so much cool shit there. They even had like the I can't remember. It was almost like they had a couple like artillery pieces that he was showing me. They're like, yeah, these companies are going to buy this and import it. So if you want one artillery piece, I wish you could, man, but I kind of frowned upon that.
How many Macs did you look through?
I probably looked at they had like 8 crates and probably a couple hundred, and it got to the point where I was like, I'm just going to pick 5 or 6 and then pick the best of that 5 or 6. So that's how I got the Mac. That's
pretty cool.
At my house right now.
That's a dang good story. I want a Mac, but every time I think about it, I'm just like, why?
We could be like Jacob and just like Gucci it out.
Well, yeah, that thing's gonna be pretty cool.
That is gonna be pretty cool.
I would totally do a Mac if they would just do a 9x19. If there was a way to do a 9x19
or just a
Mac,
380.
I don't really want to do 380.
Well, it's probably the easiest out of the two.
It is, but it's just one more caliber that I have to stock, and I don't really want to do that, But
there's this guy, and I wish I knew more about him. He's on Instagram. His name is Vol West, and I think he's an American, but he always puts all his posts in French. And the only guns he really shows are like J-frame revolvers and a Makarov, but he lives in America. So I don't know what this guy's deal is, but he's one of his main concealed carry pieces is a Makarov.
That's hilarious.
And a J-frame.
I think that's probably the next project that I should get Zach Schaefer in on is it's just be like, hey, I need you to figure out how to do a 9x19 Makarov. I think the reason it will not work is because Makarovs are direct blowback. It's not like if I remember my terms correctly, it's a fixed barrel recoil system. So 9mm will just shred that apart. That's why a lot of those like Walther, like the PPK, will never be in a 9mm, because the way those guns are made they're meant for more inert rounds, like the 380, 9x18, and like Walther just coming out with a new 32 auto PPKs. Those look fucking cool. Yeah, and it's going to get you back into the whole. No, I already spent like my $750 on a revolver. So that's my gun for the year. Really? You want me to go get the PPK out of the safe? No. You're I already have a gun that's killed. Has the one that has the funny eagle and the Windows symbol missing a couple of paints. No, I already own a relic that has killed political dissidents. I don't need a second one. So Clay, what we're talking about is my let's see, it was my grand uncle brought home a PPK from Germany in World War II. And it has the original holster and the officer's name written into the flap of the holster as well. So yeah, it's really, really cool. So, but I think it's chambered like in 32 or something. It's 32, probably 7.65. Yeah. 7.65 by something weird. So,
and you said it's Waffen amped.
Yeah. Nice. Yep. It's got all the correct like stamps on it and stuff like that. And then it was legitimately smuggled into the United States in a duffel bag. No, it was the bottom of a duffel bag. But yeah, so that's when my father passes away. He's always been talking about my brother and I. We have to go through and divvy up who gets what. And I've already told my brother, I says there's only 2 things that I want out of the collection. I don't care what you take out of that, but the 2 things is I want the PPK and I want the Norinco AK that is still brand new in the box.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Outside of that, I don't care. You can take what you want.
I did want to see that before I leave today. I'm going to send a picture to Caleb.
Which one?
PPK.
Oh, okay.
I don't care about the Norinco.
Okay. Yeah, we'll do that. Oh, yeah. Oh, and I got the stuff for you that I got to make sure I get back.
Oh
to
yes,
you.
I need that. That's expensive stuff.
Yeah, that's expensive stuff.
I hand him like it's like it's, and you probably have this all the time, Clay. It's like, hey, let me hand you like my $3,000 night vision setup with like an IR camera. Just go borrow it and go have fun with it and bring it back.
Yeah. And then they totally didn't use any of it because
Tornado happened.
Yeah, it was like torrential downpour, lightning, tornado, everything else. So,
do you have night vision?
I cannot afford to get into the night vision game, so I haven't even attempted it yet.
I say I can't. I bet you can. You just don't want to afford it.
I was going to say
I feel like I can, but my priorities. I just I don't know when I would ever use it. I know it's good peace of mind to have. Certainly a thermal to just own one because that would be nice, so that my neighbor doesn't kill me when the world ends. I could kill him instead faster. I know that would be nice to have, but I just I haven't. My priorities for it aren't there yet.
Yeah. No, it's totally understandable. I've got a thermal scope at my local shop on layaway. They do a layaway thing, so I'm just like every month just dropping a couple $100 on it. So I'm not dropping $2,500 on it all at once. So thermal's extremely expensive, but it is the next wave for sure. And night vision type stuff. But
well, let me ask you guys a question. So Tony and I, we've kind of like worked this whole thing out before, and I feel like if the world ever got to a point where it's like Fallout, right? The day comes, everyone knows, okay, now's the time to bug out. You've got I always feel like the way it would go down is you'd have like the family, they're prepared. They've got the Forerunner, it's got the spare tires, it's got the rooftop tent, it's the bug out vehicle. They've practiced this, they have property they can go to, they've got chest rigs, plate carriers, everything. They've got the whole thing, right?
It's like that couple in Tremors, right?
Yes, like the day has come, and he's like, "Damn it, babe! Like the drill. Here we fucking go." And they're, loading the car, and everything's getting ready, and they've got the carriers on, and he's got bags of ammo and arms and the shit. Puts the wife in the passenger seat, closes the door. Kids are in the back. He's like, "Here we fuck." And there's some dude that's like, "Oh fuck, I hit him!" Like across the street with a Mosin with flip flops on. He's like, "Damn, I didn't think I'd fucking make that shot." Runs over there, loots the guy, and just like fucks off. I feel like that is going to be the majority of what happens. It's just going to be the animals that sort of get lucky that are going to end up just ruling the world when it all goes down.
Yeah, it's definitely everyone's going to be like, a lot of people in this community is going to be expensive, or it's going to be expensive loot drops.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So. I think what it boils down to is the individuals who have the mindset to do very terrible things are the ones that are going to prevail the best.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, I think what's actually going to be the biggest thing is the communities that you live in a gated community, so it's probably going to fall first. But like I live out in a rural area where we like still barter for things like, my stepmom-in-law's trading like dandelion wine for chicken eggs like this week. And so I feel like those communities are going to be the ones that are going to be like, okay, the world ended. I guess we're just not driving our cars as much anymore.
Yeah, right.
I don't have to go to work anymore. We're just going to continue.
We're going to have to figure out some biodiesel, we'll have that figured out next week. So yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be like those communities are going to be surviving. Then, the entire, it's the big culture centers are going to, be turned into wastelands.
And that's the big thing. My daughter is getting ready to move to Virginia, and I have been week in and week out talking with her. I was like, "Hey, you've lived in Kansas and you've lived in Missouri for the majority of your life.
Now you move to the fentanyl capital of the world."
Exactly. You're getting ready to move to basically the suburbia of Washington, D.C. You are not prepared for what you're about to see. This is a whole new world. So just strap in, buckle up, and get ready for this, because this is going to be very eye-opening. But you're absolutely right. Yeah, these these guys that have been prepping and stuff like that. I think ultimately, if we go down this rabbit hole, for the vast majority, for a lot of people who are preparing, doing things like canning, looking at you, Jefe, freaking doing those small little things to understand how to prepare for a bad situation. The vast majority of them are just going to bug in. They're not going to go anywhere. They're just going to hunker down. And then maybe at some point, if they've got land or something that they need to get to, they might go there when it calms down a little bit. But
the hard thing we have with the whole doomsday, end of society equation is, I think it was back in the late 80s, early 90s. They've done somewhat wargaming these situations, the federal government. So I'd take this with a grain of salt. But what they found is majority of deaths that happen in some sort of like fall of civilization is people starve or die of dehydration or complications from lack of nutrients or H2O. Essentially from sitting at home waiting for the government to tell them what to do. That's exactly like they said like 80% of deaths are caused by some sort of, hey, we're just going to sit in our house and wait till someone tells us and someone saves us. Eventually they either just like waste away, or by the time they decide to do anything about it, it's game over for them anyways. So then you're essentially dealing with like a 10% population at that point of people that played way too much Fallout, or just the people that just live out in rural communities and just haven't even noticed the world has ended.
It's hilarious. I'm just gonna wait till Uncle Sam tells me what to do.
And those people vote every day.
Stop.
That's been like my new favorite thing, just like to bring like the jaded lens on everything is every time. So I do dabble in some community relations stuff, and every time we get done with somebody who just melts your mind with their stupidity, I walk away and go, that person votes.
Yeah. It's like the video I just dropped on yesterday. There's a lot of match footage of me shooting the Springfield Prodigy, and someone legitimately posted, I just can't believe that you guys are just shooting through brush. How do you know that Jimmy next door isn't walking through the field behind you or some stray dog? And we're like, are you serious right now? Did you not see the berms? Do you not see that this is a range and this is a match? I was like, you're right. These are the people that vote.
Yeah, these vote every day. Speaking of voting, hey, and I don't mean to derail. I meant to ask this a lot earlier. So I know you're a big AK guy, Clay. What's the handgun of choice?
Mm.
Why is it Glock?
You'll be very happy.
Why
with
is it Glock?
Yep.
So my concealed carry is a Glock.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Glock 43X. I can wear it with loose shorts, gym shorts, whatever shorts I'm wearing, and in a fleet vehicle like 90% of the time for work, which is naughty. And if anyone from work is listening, this is a joke. I make a joke right now, but I have to
you do it in Minecraft.
Put the pistol somewhere in the truck where it absolutely cannot be found, because my truck gets searched by guards going in and out of chemical plants all the time. So the 43X fits in a nook and cranny in my truck that other pistols wouldn't. And I can guarantee I won't lose my job if they find it, because they won't where I hide it. So that's kind of been my carry piece. Rachel also carries a 43X with a little red dot on it. As far as competition pistol, dude, I've ran a pistol no one's ever heard of for years called a Rex Alpha. It's Slovenian.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone knows Arex. They make an Alpha, which is their competition pistol. I ran that for a long, long time. Only recently have I picked up a Jericho from Dissident, basically CZ75. And it has been fucking awesome, to the point where I've really got bitten by the CZ75 bug. And I think I want to try to move up to a big boy gun, maybe like a Tanfolio or a Shadow 2, something cool. The 2011s are cool, but for some reason, man, they just don't really capture me like the CZs do. I don't know why. And in the competition world, it's like most people choose one or the other. Are you going to be the CZ guy or are you a 2011 guy?
Yep.
And there's not much deviating from those two.
Yep. And I know that our friend Calvin, he shoots Tanfolios or has shot Tanfolios for a very, very long time. He's got his hands are all chalked up and everything. You see his match footage. It's really interesting to see how he preps for those. But I've got a CZ SPO1 Tactical, which is basically a CZ 75 with a rail, an accessory rail. And it is quite possibly one of the most accurate iron-sighted pistols that I have in my collection. Here at Kalashnikov, I shot that Springfield Prodigy, and I really like it. But if I had to choose between All Reliable in that CZ75 SPO1 Tactical or the Prodigy, I probably would lean towards the CZ, especially if I could, spend some time and effort into, getting it, slide cut for a red dot and send it out to like Cajun Gunworks and have them do their thing and stuff like that. Yeah. I think, if you want to, I know that you've done AK stuff for a long time, and before that was AR stuff, and you kind of might get to a point where you just get a little bored moving into a pistol genre, whatever that may be, whether it be 2011s or Tanfolios, CZ75s, whatever the case may be, and just start tweaking some of that stuff. That you might geek out on that a little bit.
It's funny you bring that up because we were just talking about this before we went live, is kind of getting burned out through YouTube. And I don't know if a lot of people talk about that out in the open much. Maybe guys in my position or your position, Mark. I don't know if it's a very good thing that viewers know that sometimes you can totally get burned out.
Yeah.
Or maybe a better phrase is pigeonholed into doing the same thing, the same type of content over and over and over again, like AKs nonstop. And eventually just run out of stuff to film. So yeah, I have wanted to venture out, but getting into the bolt guns more, surplus, which I've always had. I do want to start filming more pistols and certainly more lever guns, just to try to get creative again. Because at a certain point, dude, you kind of run out of shit to film with AKs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's only so many variants of AKs, and there's only so much you can do from there, so what's the next step?
Lever Bash 2025.
He said, there it is again. There it is again.
If you just keep on saying it, wills into existence, right?
Well, that's the thing. I keep on dreaming that someday I'll figure out how to do a Kansas version of Kalash Bash or whatever,
It's easy. You take their home or copy it and just move it to Kansas.
Well, of course, yeah, but where would we do that here?
That's a hard part, dude, is finding the property that will accommodate.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure there's a couple.
Corn Dodger, we couldn't do it up there. It's too small.
Spear Point,
yeah, maybe.
Might be able to accommodate that. That's like they do a lot of the ELR stuff, so I don't know how well
long
it will
range
translate.
Precision stuff like that. Yeah, but down south of Wichita, where we did the tactical games, but there is absolutely nothing out there. It is like desolate out there.
That's the other thing. Where do you house everybody? Where do they stay?
Exactly.
Do they camp? Are there any Airbnbs? Is there even a hotel? Where do people eat while they're in town?
Yep. There's
not my problem. You'll figure it out. Those are the people that will die. They're waiting for the government to tell them when they can eat.
Dude, I'm right there with you. But I'll get 100 emails of questions like that, and to me, I'm just like, I don't know, dude. Figure it out. I go to shit in way worse towns than this, and I survive 3 days. Like, figure it out. But some people will totally avoid your event like the plague if there's not at least like a friggin' Dairy Queen in town, or they won't go.
That's your favorite place, isn't it, Clay?
I can't stand it, dude.
I was telling my girlfriend that you can't stand Dairy Queen, and she just looked at me and she was like, what? It's like, yeah,
because I spend a lot of my life on the road for my day job. I'm in tiny little butthole towns all the time, and what do you not find in every little butthole town? It's a Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A it's in like the nice parts of town. When you get stuck in a no-name, shitty little town and it's lunchtime and you don't know where to stop, they always seem to have like a dilapidated Dairy Queen, always in the shit towns.
Yeah, and you get the monster meal. I don't know if that's still a thing. That,
or you just don't eat there. You starve.
Clay cannot stand it. He will eat anywhere but Dairy Queen.
Man, I love the Queen. Her and I are tight.
So for I don't Jefe, you may have your own opinion, but for me, Dairy Queen has been a staple. If there's not anything that you're really interested in eating, there's always a Dairy Queen, and you can always fall back on it. So
I'm always I'm always the eat local guy, and I'll rather get fucking like food poisoning more often than not than eat some like fast food joint if I'm out traveling doing things. I think the only caveat would be Brahms. I think Brahms, if there's one in.
Oh, I'll go out of my way for a Brahms.
Yeah, I'll fuck the shit out of that.
Have you ever eaten at a Brahms, Clay?
Dude, maybe a couple times. Maybe I'm missing out. I've been seeing a lot of really nice looking Brahms lately.
Yeah,
they're booming.
Yeah, they are having a bit of a resurgence. They're a bit similar to Dairy Queen, so if you walk into one, keep your expectations low, and we'll see what happens from there.
The only time Brahms has ever done me wrong was, and 90% was my fault, but I went through in my company car at like 10 minutes before closing time.
Oh yeah,
and ordered.
And they spit in your food.
They gave me some really not okay food that put me on a toilet for like 2.5 days. And it's funny because like my wife and I have been together for 10 years. And she said this was like a year and a half ago this happened. She's like, I've never seen you throw up ever in our entire time being together, except for when I had that bag of burgers from Brahms at 10 minutes before closing time. So don't order that stuff, guys.
Yeah, it's actually interesting. I don't total side tangent here. As Jefe and I
we got to Brahms. We started AKs and we're at Brahms. I don't think it's the same time.
I was just going to say, I don't think Dan has ever seen me throw up.
Okay, well, we can fix that.
All right. Well, we've been Clay. I know it's getting late for you over there. You've probably got work tomorrow. I've got work.
I work today because I'm a true American. I hate federal holidays.
But as we do with most of all of our podcasts, we like to dish it over to you to talk about whatever you want to talk about. We usually say it's the last 30 seconds, but we never stick to that. So, Clay, what else do you want to impart to us before
at 11 o'clock at night?
Yeah.
I would say if anyone listening wants to become a better shooter or just a better person all around, save yourself a lot of time and money and soul searching, and just go shoot a competition. It will tell you everything that you suck at within your very first match. It will tell you how bad your gear is, how bad your gun is, how bad you are at just planning things and solving problems in your head. It will tell you how bad you are with dealing with pressure, because it's actual pressure. It's not fake pressure that you get at like a defensive course when they say, just pretend people are shooting at you. It's real deal pressure. You will sweat. You will stress because people are watching you fuck up. Shoot a match. Not only will it make you a better shooter, but it just makes you a stronger person all the way around. And it's highly addicting. So that's all I'll leave you with. And everything that I've done, shooting matches has made me a stronger person, mentally, physically, emotionally, everything. Yeah. And I've met lifelong friends doing it that aren't fly-by-night friends. So, shoot more matches. Get off your freaking couch. Dust off that gun. Doesn't even matter what it is. It can be a lever gun. It can be a J-frame, AKAR. There's a competition for all that stuff. Just go fucking do it and stop making excuses and be better.
That's one of the things that that Matt Hunt said at Kalashnikov. He said, "Hey, congratulations to being the 1% of people getting off their butt and coming here to compete." And I really took that to heart. You're absolutely right. You meet so many good people who want to see you do well. So absolutely, I 100% second that, and it also teaches you how good you are at adversity and dealing with adversity, because you get into a stage and you think you're doing good, then all of a sudden your rifle goes down because of a double feed or something, and you have to figure out how to work through that quickly and still get back into the stage. Yeah 100%. So Hefe, what do you got?
Don't get the don't get the 5 bag of burgers from Brahms 5 minutes before closing. I've had some insider information that is not the play.
That may have been just the one location.
No, I mean it was a seedy side of town, and I talked to my buddy who used to work at a Brahms, and I found out what they do with those burgers. He said those burgers were probably cooked at 8:00 that morning and just kept in some sort of warming container, because not many people get the bag of burgers. Apparently eating 5 cheeseburgers is not like a normal thing people do on a daily basis. I don't know. I guess I'm just a fat piece of shit. But yeah, don't get the Brahms bag of burgers 10 minutes before closing.
Especially if you plan on suitcasing guns in your butt. Yeah. Don't eat Brahms late night.
I mean, if you no. Now, actually, that might be the play if you're planning to suitcase a gun and then get rapid access to it later.
That's my goodness. All right, so my last thing is I had the opportunity to hang out with a very good friend of mine last night and this morning. Came out from the Kansas City area and just had a great evening. The whole point of that is to say, if you have a friend that you haven't talked to in a little bit, just take a second, drop everything that you're doing, call your friend, ask them how they're doing, make sure that they're good, reconnect, and see if you guys can get together, or ladies, and like I said, reconnect with your friends, because as Clay has mentioned, as Hefe has mentioned, friends are the people that support you and get you going in the direction that you want to be going. So make sure you're fostering those relationships. So with all of that being said, Clay, thank you so very much for joining us on this edition. This is quite possibly one of the longer podcasts, but we got into a lot of rabbit holes that were great. Thank you so much for taking the time tonight to talk to us. Please say thank you to Rachel for letting us talk to you.
Where can our people find you at?
Well, Grindr is no more, so that account no longer exists. But if you have Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube, it's all KlayCo47 spelled with a K everywhere you look. Yep. Same thing.
Is it? Can you find you on Plenty of Fish or a Big Cupid on those?
That's where I found my wife. Believe it or not.
There you go.
Many years ago, back when it was bussin', not so much anymore.
It's cool. I met my stepsister on Tinder, and we have 2 kids together now. So.
Yep. That is a 100% true story.
100% true story.
But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Say hello to the wife for me. I really do appreciate everything that you've done, Clay. And as I mentioned just a second ago, I appreciate your friendship. So thanks for coming on the podcast. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. We really do appreciate everybody's listening to our podcast. We've seen our analytics go up, so thank you so very much, especially for our friend in Romania that is listening.
Is he still popping up?
I don't know. I'll have to go back and check, but it's a good story nonetheless. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Again, thanks everybody for listening, and don't forget to live, lap, and LARP.
Live, lap, and LARP.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.